I literally had one of the most incredible experiences in my life regarding layovers as I headed back to New York. I had a 6-hour layover to enjoy Etihad's business class lounge, which was the best and biggest I've ever experienced in my life, and I'd say it's arguably the best in the world, located right here in Terminal A in Abu Dhabi. It's practically brand new, opening up in November 2023. It boasts a ton of luxury brand stores, restaurants, and food as passengers wait to board their plane. I walked around the terminal a little bit, and with just under 5 hours to kill, I arrived at Etihad's business class lounge. I wasn't sure if they'd let me in so early, since I've heard some lounges won't let you in more than 3 hours prior to departure, but they gave me no issues at all. They greeted me with a smile and a warm welcome. Immediately as I walked in, I was blown away how mammoth this 3-story lounge was, from massaging chairs to a spa. I couldn't wait to see what else Etihad had to offer here. I was starting to realize just by walking around within the first couple of minutes why they let me in so early, because you could literally spend all day here. Not sure what kind of massage you want? That's not a problem. Here they have every type of massage available you can imagine. They even offered the luxury Swiss brand Valmont, which offers skincare products to guests. I only know this brand because I've used it when I was in Montreal after a massage. I passed on the massage, but I checked out what they had to offer anyway. As I walked down the corridor, I couldn't believe the sheer size of this lounge. You have these massive windows to look out and see the runway, and you have these amazing views of the tarmac and the incoming and outgoing planes. Although when I was filming here, it was dark, it was getting later on in the night, so it made it slightly hard to see. As I got closer to the dining area, you had some nice seating areas to look out the windows and enjoy your views. You had a ton of seating area and space. There were a lot of staff to make sure everything was clean and neat. They picked her up right after you, and they kept everything in order. You fancy a tea or a coffee or water? Look no farther. They had everything you can imagine when it comes to food and drinks. Obviously, when you're at a business class lounge, you don't have to pay for any alcohol. So I actually thought this was the main bar until I realized that on the 3rd floor there was a bar at least 5 to 6 times the size as this one. But I started out with a drink here to start my night, with an amazing Woodford Reserve. As I started to walk around more, tour the place while I had a drink in hand, the passengers started filing in, and I realized that I should probably start making my way to get some dinner. Now here's where I really started to become even more impressed once I arrived to where the food was. I felt like I was in a hotel because of how big and vast the serving line was. I absolutely could not believe how many options of food you had. It didn't matter what kind of nationality, religion, or food preference you had, they had it all. They had multiple chefs waiting for any kind of food requests or anything you wanted to be specially made. With this being my last day of my vacation, I figured why not and pig out as much as I could. Even though a lot of this was buffet style, everything was fresh, beautifully displayed, showcasing why this business class lounge is one of the best in the world. I honestly did not know where to start or what I wanted, so I started filming and seeing exactly what my palate was watering for. Now, I know I told you before that there was a lot of food here in a buffet style, but I really underestimated how much food there actually was. The great smells, everything as I was touring around, I really had to hurry up filming and start eating. So once I knew what I wanted, I quickly ran over to the cold bar area where there was different salads and stuff like that and desserts. My next thing is what am I going to have for dessert? So I went over and checked out what they had to offer. Now the chefs, pastry chefs, or whoever prepared this really paid attention to detail here. I tried to get up close up as possible as I could of all these different pastries, and I really wanted to try every single one I could possible. I decided to try and find the room for them. I ended up skipping the bread because all that was going to do was fill me up. So I ended up going with a mild spicy curry dish with chicken and a little bit of pad thai noodles with a traditional Arabic side. All I could tell you is that the plates didn't last long and opened up for seconds. And of course, after my dinner, I waited a few minutes and I picked out some dessert to balance out my belly. All I will tell you is that these dessert portions were way too small, so I made my way up to the dessert line a few times. As I was finishing my dessert, I loosened up my belt buckle by a loop and I started walking to make my way up to the second floor. I really tried my best to capture this on video of just how big the main entrance was and just how long each floor was. If I were to guess, I would say each floor was roughly about a football field in length. And here next to the elevators, you had what each floor was, and you had the option of taking the escalator or the elevator. As I got on the second floor, I was flanked on either side with tons of lounges, seating areas, concierge services. You also have a ton of screens of flight tickers of when your flight's about to depart, because you can easily lose track of time when you are just bombarded with everything here. And of course, you wouldn't be in Abu Dhabi if things weren't spray painted with luxury screaming at you. The high-end books, the artwork, statues. Whoever decorated this definitely made sure things were done right and were precise and done just a certain way. So I started walking around and I noticed that there was a ton of open leather chairs, seats, couches, and I think it was a combination of a few things. You know, it was late at night, fairly late at night, and also you have 3 stories. This place was ginormous. So, and you know, I think that it was a combination of all those things. Things were spread apart. Here I went all the way down to the far end of the floor. I'm not sure if it was the east side or west side, but I just wanted to show that. And here you really get to see how absolutely massive these windows are and what view you get. So on this floor you have the game rooms, family room. You also had the boarding gate on that side also, so actually that's what was on that far side. I was really impressed with the game room. I thought it was pretty sweet. You could play some backgammon, foosball. You had these 2 massive TVs that had either sports or the news on at all times. It was a little bit of a bummer. I wasn't with anyone, so I didn't get to play any air hockey or foosball, but it was pretty cool to see what they had. And of course, as you leave the game room and head down the corridor, what do you see? Like I mentioned before, a ton more seating space. You had a nice selection of magazines and books also on each floor. And of course, as you went down, what do you see? The children's room. This was actually a lot more lively, a lot more kids in there. This place was humongous in there. You had a lot of stuff for kids to do. That was pretty cool to see. And then what was right next to it? What do you guess? More food. So this was the west side. So the one side I was at prior was the east side. You just had some small snacks, fruit, and also you had some coffee and different beverages that you wanted. And of course, after traveling all day, I definitely wanted to take advantage of taking a shower. If there was a long wait, which there really wasn't at this point at night, they would give you a pager that would vibrate when a shower room was available. As I walked in, I maybe had a 2-minute wait, possibly, if that. The gentleman, the attendant that was there, greeted me. He was very thorough, explained everything, all the amenities, asked what stall I wanted to use or what room. Really, it isn't a stall. I mean, it was beautiful. So I grabbed my drink, I put my carry-on luggage right in, and started to settle down, and I wanted to take a quick little tour and show everyone here what the bathroom looked like. And let me tell you, the bathroom was absolutely spotless. You definitely didn't think that you were in an airport bathroom. It actually looked like you were in a luxury hotel bathroom. Although it did not have a bidet, it did have a little nozzle that you could spray your hiney with if you wanted to. The shower itself definitely was a luxurious shower. It kind of reminded me of the bathroom at the Ritz-Carlton, minus those soap dispensers. Everything was clean and dry, as if it wasn't even used. So after I took a shower and got changed, I felt refreshed again. I had a full belly, a few drinks, and I was getting ready to check out the third floor, which was my favorite out of all of them, which I'll explain very shortly. So here's the main bar, and like I said, it's about 5 to 6 times bigger than the one on the first floor. And again, you have every drink you could possibly ask for or want. I even made some American friends that were also having a long layover like myself. And they were telling me they were in the country of Yemen, and they were at this coastal island that they couldn't believe how amazing it was, and they were explaining everything about the island. And right to the side of the bar, you had a really nice selection of food, hot and cold. It wasn't as massive as the main one on the first floor, but it definitely had everything that you'd want if you wanted to have a small snack. And also, you had a ton of desserts also. As I look closer to the food, pretty much it was the same as what you would get on the first floor, just a little watered down version or smaller version. So do you remember a few minutes ago when I mentioned how this was my favorite floor? And you're probably wondering why there's so much more food and a bar on the first floor, and it seemed like there was a lot more amenities. I'm a massive Formula One fan, and I've been to multiple races around the world. There's always been a dream of mine to go to Yas Marina Circuit, which is right here in Abu Dhabi, and it happens to be the very final race of the Formula One season for many years now. And some of the biggest stars from around the world come to Abu Dhabi to watch this spectacular final race of the year. Unfortunately, the Grand Prix was next week, so I wasn't able to see it, but what I was able to do was drive in a simulator that Etihad Airlines had kindly put up for their guests to test their driving skills. Lucky for me, there wasn't a lot of people that wanted to try it, so I was able to get behind the wheel and race for at least 8 to 9 times. I'm not going to toot my own horn too much, but having this game for about 10 years now and knowing all the racetracks, I blew everyone out of the water, and even the employee was joking around and saying he hasn't seen those lap times yet this season. So yeah, I was definitely in my glory for a while before I got ready to board my plane. And before I knew it, these last 5 hours have blown by and what only felt like just a few minutes. This is truly something I will never forget. It's been just an amazing experience. Etihad's business class lounge is a cut above the rest, and I truly believe it'll rival any lounge in the world. I'm sad I have to say goodbye, but in the back of my mind, I know I will go back, and when I do go back next time, I'm definitely taking my daughter with me to experience this. It was now almost 2 a.m., and my flight was getting ready to board. For the next 13 hours on my flight, I think I'm just going to have a really good meal, kick back, and reminisce on one of the best experiences I've ever had. I hope everyone enjoyed this video, and please subscribe for more. This is Passport Planet, signing out.